Hi guys, Independent Media Wolves here. So this is the reaction to the announcement, if you want to call it that, of the official grooming gang national inquiry. Because it's not a national inquiry. And so I thought I'd do this video in your typical far-right fashion. Because back in January, Keir Starmer labelled us all far-right. Now, I've been using my page for years to highlight convicted nonces and those that have been previously arrested. Because let's face it, you don't get arrested without reasonable suspicion. And then therefore, I haven't heard of many that have gone on to be released without charge. They usually all end up in long drawn out inquiries, trials, convictions, and then I've done my best to report on them all. But if you want some trusted sources for every single conviction, look no further than UK Database, because I source all my convicted nonces news from them. I don't really look anywhere else. There is Predator Watch. They deal with videos and stuff like that. But I source news content from UK Database. They are one of the most trusted sources out there. Fully independent, just like myself. And you should get all your news content from them. They do not pay me. They do not even know about this recommendation. So, yeah. Back in January, Keir Starmer dismissed calls for a national or a public inquiry or judge-led inquiry or a QC-led inquiry. There's a few local inquiries that were already announced by Keir Starmer and Yvette Cooper and Jess Phillips and the rest of the corrupt Labour Party that literally just do not want a national inquiry, but they have bowed to public pressure, and we are now getting some form of inquiry. The problem I have is two things. Okay. The first one is it's only in England and Wales, so it's not a national inquiry. It's not even a national inquiry by definition, because if it was a national inquiry, you would include Scotland and Northern Ireland, but I do accept that they do have their own legal system, but the problem with that is the Prime Minister knows full well he can override those legal systems and order a full UK-wide inquiry. Even if it takes emergency legislation to introduce, he's got the majority to push it through, and the Conservatives would back it, Reform would back it, everybody would back it. But for some reason, they only want to keep it to England and Wales. I wonder why. Is there problems going on in Scotland that Scotland and the SNP don't want you to find out about? Because it's very strange how we never really hear much about what's going on in Scotland. I don't really suspect there's much going on in Northern Ireland, because Northern Ireland is one of those countries that you'd get it rooted out a long time ago. And it's been proven now by these riots where it only has to be alleged that shit's going down with immigrants and abusing young girls, and the community just riots. I'm surprised that doesn't happen over here in England. I really don't. I think we're a bit more I wouldn't say tolerant, but I think we are a bit more reserved. And to me, I have a problem with that, because I think you should protest when somebody abuses young girls, and it doesn't really matter what race it is. It could be English, it could be you could get Pakistani girls being abused. There is evidence of that. Jews being abused, Sikhs being abused. It doesn't really matter. But the demographic of those actually committing those crimes is undisputed now. It is majority Pakistani men. And it's not racist to say that. It really isn't. A lot of people saying, oh, and this and this and this. Fuck off. Right? It's not. It really isn't. because I've been speaking about this on my page for 8 years now, ever since I set it up. It's one of the first things I decided to speak about when deciding to do something that I was doing in college. Okay. And it's took 8 years now for the public to finally wake the fuck up and realise that there is a problem with mass migration and predominantly military-age men coming over here and committing unspeakable crimes. Now, that's not to say that every single person that comes over here does unspeakable crimes. They don't. But there is a sizable portion out there that do, and that is the problem. When you don't check and you don't vet these people that are coming over here, it used to be about, oh yeah, coming over here, taking our jobs and all this. Not, yeah, right. It's no longer about that. It's about coming over here and not actually fucking working. This is what a lot of the problem is, right? At least with the people that are actually over here that do claim universal credit, there is a sizable portion of those who do claim universal credit that are British born or British nationals that are entitled to universal credit. They do actually work. So if they claim a little bit of universal credit, that's okay. It keeps them afloat and they reinvest that money back into the economy. No problem with that. What I have a problem with is people using benefits to abuse young kids. I have a problem with that. Because it seems to be that when this report comes out later today or this week, whenever it is, it's industrial scale, and you should be looking after your kids better, because there is people out there now that will only just be getting access to a phone. They are vulnerable now, because I don't even need to say much. I really don't anymore. There is not really much point to this video, but I'm just a normal guy, and I'm very angry now, because Keir Starmer needs to resign. He needs to go. He labelled everybody far right back in January who was campaigning for a national inquiry. Well, joke's on him now, because he's now announced the very thing that he deemed far right. So, where do we go from here? Now, what happens to these local inquiries? I tell you what happens with them. They get kicked down the can, because they're talking about, oh yeah, well we'll do these local inquiries alongside it. I'll tell you what will happen. A lot of those local inquiries will just get dropped, because they'll get told that you need to do the national inquiry now, because otherwise the local inquiries will just distract from the national one. And I kind of agree with that, but I do feel that the local inquiries should go ahead, because there will be people that will just not listen to the national ones. They feel that it'll be whitewashed. So I think we should do both, and let's see what happens with that. I'll wrap this up now, because I think I've said all I need to say. I wish all the survivors the best luck in the world in getting their voices heard. I wish the families' victims all the luck in the world in getting their voices heard. Please do not necessarily go and riot. I don't mind you protesting, because we get enough dodgy protests around here already. I'd rather have some legitimate ones, and campaigning against child abuse is a legitimate protest, right? You know, campaigning for Palestine, well, that's a different story altogether. We'll talk about that in a different video. But let's see what happens with these national inquiries, because believe you me, I don't even see the national inquiry doing much. I think most of it will be a whitewash, because the evidence out there will bring down the government, and Keir Starmer is trying to hang on to his job. So I think maybe you'll get some resignations in government. I don't think you'll necessarily get the prime ministers. But I remain hopeful, because I think he needs to go.